Good morning, you guys. How's it going? I'm extremely exhausted and my face hurts really bad. So I'm breaking out right here and it hurts. And I have one right here, which actually isn't that bad. Usually it's a lot worse. So I had a crazy work week. Like, I work Tuesday through Saturday and nothing happened on Tuesday, which was like fine. But everything else happened. Like every single day it was something. After that, Wednesday I had this crazy Asian lady that came in with like a hairpiece, and I told her multiple times that I'm not able to cut it for her because it's a liability, and if she doesn't like the cut, that we can't replace it for her. And she was like super adamant about doing it. So I'm like, you know what, fine. And it was kind of like half like a wig type of thing, and she said that she just wanted it cut to meet the length of her hair. Well, I did that, and then of course she's like, oh, cut here and here and here. Oh, and give me bangs. And I'm like, are you serious? So I like literally spent like an hour and a half with her, and she was so draining because it's like, I already told her like this is a specialty service, like we don't do this here, and I'm still doing it, and I just feel like she took a little advantage. So to be much more firmer with her if she comes back. And then so that was Wednesday. Okay, so then Thursday everything was going fine, it was okay. And then I ended up staying late with my manager so I could just get my hair blown out, because I usually get a blowout once a week because my hair is naturally wavy, and it's just easier to deal with it when it's straight, and then a blowout is better than me having to wait for it to dry and then flat iron it. But yeah, so we're blowing out my hair, right? And my manager turns off her blow dryer because she's like, I thought I heard the phone ring. And I'm like, I didn't hear anything. But her blow dryer is like really loud. So then we get done with my hair, getting ready to close up shop. The salon's clean, we're ready to go. And then my manager looks at her phone, and one of our sister salons had called and messaged her and said that there was money stolen and the keys stolen when they were closing. So they had like theft, like robbery. And we're like, freaking really? So since I work in the Mall of America, it's not that far to walk to the other salon. It's just like a big circle. So they called us around like 9:30, and then that was the phone ringing. But we were doing stuff, so we didn't hear it. So we walk over there, and then we deal with that situation. The cops took an hour, and they said that they called the cops, and that the Mall of America has a very, very high security. Like, it's like Fort Knox. Like, you're not getting, like, if something goes down, usually, like, there's people, like, on it. Mall security, they kind of suck. Cops, they're a little bit better, but I think it's a little bit better, like, actually, like, when store hours are going on, because the girl said that we've been waiting here for almost an hour and a half, and the cops haven't came yet. And we're like, okay, well, that's weird. And so then there's 3 girls involved. So then they went up to the area where they have like a little station like in the mall. So they went in there. So me and my manager are still waiting to figure out what we need to do, because our district leader decided that she's not going to answer her phone or anything like that, which is like really unprofessional. And then So three girls are gone, the ones that were involved, and all of a sudden I look and I see two cops just moseying on along, and we're like, oh great, so that must be them, so they're coming, great. So then we're waiting, still, chilling out, whatever, and then they turn the corner and they don't even try to even like come into the salon, and I'm like, what the hell? So then I tell my manager, I'm like, dude, we need to stop them and get them. So then my manager runs and gets them. And then they come in the salon, and then they're like, oh, well, they said that there was like a shooting or something that was outside of them, that was outside by the mall, so that was more of a priority. But I mean, like, yes, that's definitely maybe a more of a priority, but how do you know that, like, we're not held up somewhere? So I thought that was kind of annoying when he said that. So then the girls came back a couple minutes later, and then they talked with their story and everything else, and then they wanted to go home because they had a long day. I'm like, bitch, I had a long day too. So, yeah. I didn't get robbed or anything, but, And also, I feel like their story was a little shady. Just saying. So then we had to wait for the locksmith to come, because if the guy grabbed the keys to the safe and our door, like the gate that we pulled down to close the salon. So 3 girls went home. The guy didn't get to the salon until like 1:45 in the morning. So granted, I was at work and I got paid for this because my manager's like, you don't need like there needs to be at least 2 of us here. And she's like, well, I'll just put time off the clock for you. And I'm like, thank you. And she's really good at doing all that anyways. So he came. It took like 5 seconds for him to change the locks, everything else. And then we ended up going home. And I didn't get home until like 2 in the morning. And thank God it was Friday, because Fridays are my late days and I didn't have to go into work until 2. But since that day, I've been so exhausted. So then Friday rolls around, and there is a very aggressive client that one of the stylists has, and I find out that she's been coming to the salon for a very long time, and we have a lot of information on her, and every single time she gets a color, she's never happy. She's been with like pretty much everyone in the salon, and she's never happy, and we feel like she has maybe like a mental disorder, or she's just crazy. She's just batshit crazy. So she didn't. So they performed the service, everything else, and she looks at her hair and she's like, well, it's really like gold and like yellow, and the stylist, told her, it's like, I told you that you would need a toner if you need to tone down the blonde. And she's like, well, I don't want to pay extra money for the toner. And like in my salon, like if you get, like, say you get a full foil, and you want it to be like a cooler color, or like even like, or tone it down, like that's an extra cost. That's just how we do it. It's not something that's, in with the service price, because it's bleach and then is a color. Those are 2 separate products that we have to use. So she was like, well, this is not what I wanted, and blah 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 and yada yada. And we kept telling, so like told her, it's like, well, if you put the toner on it, it'll tone that down, but you have to pay for it. Like, we can't just give it to you. And she's like, well, this is like BS and whatever else. So then I was with a guest, so I wasn't able to, step in. But another higher up stylist did, and he's like, we will fix it for you. Like, that's no problem, yada yada. And she's like, well, I've already been here for 8 hours, like 6 or 8 hours, and like I can't sit here anymore, and blah blah blah. And she was saying something about just like going on about like some random bullshit, right? So we're like, so we schedule her a redo. So I told her and she said it was too blonde. So I told her, like, I would put some low lights in there for you because that's what you paid for. right? Like, we cannot do more services that she didn't pay for. Like, that's just, no. This is a lady that wanted a free toner, and I'm like, I'm not giving you a free toner. Like, you have to pay for it. So she comes back, and, you know, I'm doing her hair and everything else, and then, she was, like, decent. She wasn't, like, wasn't, like, you know, rude or anything, but she was kind of crazy, because then I was like, oh, so, like, I know you know. So she was like, I know you know my manager. And she's like, no, I don't know your manager. And I'm like, the girl that you were just with. And granted, this lady was getting her hair done right next to my chair. Like, knew Terry. She pointed her out and everything else. So she was just trying to get away with some BS. So I did her hair. And I found out later that she told the stylist that she was with that she thought that her neighbors, like, poisoned her dog, so they threatened her. So she threatened them with, like, a toy gun, and I'm like, no, this bitch is gone. Like, can never come back to the salon. If we have so much, like, issues with her in the past, she's not coming back. This is her last service in the salon. So I did the service, everything else, she was fine with it, but she still said it was a little yellow, and I told her again that you did not pay for the toner. We, as professionals, recommended a toner, but we can't just put it on you for free. You'd have to pay for it, because that wasn't a service that you bought. And she's like, well, you know, it looks really yellow. And I'm like, it's golden, but you have golden with some lowlights in there, so it definitely breaks it up. And she's like, right. So then she started getting lippy again, because instead of being unhappy with her hair, now she was unhappy with the stylist that talked to her about getting the redo service, because he got snippy with her. But I told her he was talking very firm to you because you weren't listening. But after everything else, like, you know, I told her, like, you know, you've been coming here for many years, and we've done your hair a lot in the past, and I feel like every single time we just haven't made you happy, and and the salon feels that maybe this just isn't a good fit for you. And of course she was like, oh, no, like, I like coming to the salon. It was just that stylist that thought that he was beneath me, or that I was beneath him, or whatever. And I was like, now you're just trying to change the subject. Now, like, you're trying to, like, redirect the whole situation, because it was all about your hair. So I had to blacklist her. So she was very draining. And then Saturday, I had our other sister salon call us, because we have 3 salons in the mall. We have a high end, and then a low end, and then my salon's, like, in the middle. So then they called, and they said, like, so there's this lady here. She said that she's been getting her hair done before. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. And, like, first, like, when she was starting to talk, and I'm like, it's not that fucking crazy bitch that we had yesterday. Because I would have been like, just call security and get her ass out of the mall. But no, so we found out that it was another client that used to come to the salon that I worked at, but the man that did her hair no longer worked there. So I was like, okay, like, hang on, let me get some facts, whatever. So I talked to my manager, and she's like, oh yeah, like, we know her. She's a little, you know, she's a little different, a little weird, but she's fine. She's, you know, whatever. Because when I was talking to the girl on the phone, she said, like, yeah, she's, like, really weird, and like, we don't know if we should take her or not, or so then I get back on the phone, and I'm like, okay, well, my manager said that she used to get her hair done here by a man, and, like, that's what, you know, the client stated, and, you know, like, she is a little weird, but, you know, she's fine. Well, and then the stylist told me, she's like, well, I did her hair yesterday, and she said that she loved it. And now she came back today, and I fixed it twice. I've done 2 redos on her, and she still hates it. And I'm like, okay, well, clients only get 1 redo. And if they don't like that, then we can't do anything for them. And so I guess she was getting really hostile with them. And then, you know, the stylist, so she's like, I really don't want to do anything else with her hair. And I'm like, you just have to be very firm and very blunt with clients sometimes. So, you know, I told her pretty much, you know, with the lady that we had yesterday, that you can say, you know, we did everything that we could with your hair. Like, you loved it when you walked out of here and then you came back. We fixed it twice for you. This is all that we can offer you. You know, unfortunately, if we can't satisfy you, then maybe this salon isn't a good fit for you. And that's the easiest way to say it respectfully, and not just say that, bitch, like, you need to leave. So she was like, thank you, like, I just need someone to tell me what to do, yada yada, whatever else. And then I told her, like, once she leaves, and then make sure that you have all of her information and everything, and then just blacklist her, because there's so many people in the mall, and I think because the Super Bowl's coming up, I think it's starting to draw out all the crazies, because this whole week has been so draining. It's like, even today, like, I'm exhausted. And I went over to my friend Selena's house last night, and we saged the shit out of everything, because just to get all the negative energy out. But I'm still, like, I'm so happy that it's my day off and I have tomorrow off, and I can just, like, zen out and relax, because it's been a hot mess. So, yeah. But just crazy situations like that. It's like, you know, that's with working in the, you know, the customer service industry and doing hair. You can't please everybody, and people are just fucking crazy. And you just gotta, sometimes you have to put your foot down and be like, no, like, this is you, this is not us. So, yeah. But I've been ranting for, like, almost 18 minutes.